All right, everybody, we are live right now. We got eCom Tom. We have Brian Williams here, who is a familiar guest on the channel. I believe this is Brian's third time being in a video on my channel, so I'm sure you guys know who he is. If not, I'll have him introduce himself in a bit. I'm coming live from my parents' kitchen, so the background might look a little bit different than usual. I did fly home for the holiday season. And yeah, I mean, so we have Brian here on the channel tonight. We're going to be answering questions about manual eBay drop shipping, and specifically, you know, how Brian went about getting through the MC011, mainly because I see a ton of people out there asking questions about it, other people getting it. Brian's not the only one. There's been other people, tons of people in our Facebook group, our free Facebook group that get it. You know, just go a little bit over what he did to get rid of the restriction and how they actually did limit him to one account. And he was only allowed to sell on one account. That account is actually flagged. And then how he went about just creating another account, started with manual drop shipping, and he's made sales on it that way. So, you know, if you guys are watching right now, let me know who you are, where you're from. You know, have you started manual drop shipping yet? And I'll read off a few of the questions so far, and then I'll have Brian introduce himself. Actually, Brian, introduce yourself right now for people that don't know who you are.
All right. What's going on, guys? My name is Brian Williams. I also go by Hustle Williams. If you guys want to check out my stuff, you can go to my YouTube at Hustle Williams, or you can follow me on Instagram, Hustle_Williams. But basically, I've been doing eBay dropshipping for a little over a year now, and I started actually studying under Tom. Tom and I met in another group, and Tom actually helped me to take my eBay dropshipping business to the next level. During my most profitable months, I was doing over $125,000 in sales a month. That was with two stores, one at 100,000, the other one at 25,000. At that time, shortly after, I got limited with an MC011 restriction to one store. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about right now. So that kind of like catapulted me into figuring out alternatives to how to sell on eBay again after being restricted to one store. After that, I wrote out my one store, which was actually flagged at the same time. I was still accruing revenue. I was still doing about $1,000 a month. I have a couple.
$1,000 a month in sales. People keep saying my voice is messed up. I don't know. The microphone is like far away, but $1,000 a month in sales or profit. Just to let people know,
deep, bro. It's pretty deep, bro.
I don't know what's going on. Nothing's changed. I didn't just hit puberty or something.
But yeah, I was doing about a little over $1,000 a month in profit. Some months were actually pretty higher. I think I did a YouTube video where one month I did 1,500 to 1,000 in profit front end, and like about 1,500 in back end profit as well. Back end profit being like cashback and cashback portals and credit card percentage back and stuff like that. So I've been doing this for a while now. And then I guess my most recent excursion was how I got limited, or actually how one of my VAs had stole some money from me. So she had stole like a little over $2,500 from me, which was a big chunk of change. And that's pretty much what happened to my store. It got kind of like really demolished because this chick was taking all our profits and like buying items and sending them to herself in the Philippines, as well as to herself in the United States, her relatives and stuff like that.
I heard something. So I talked with Gene. You know Gene, from Gene. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. The Russian guy, Plug Voy. Yeah. He said that his VA did the same thing. She would take a trip to the United States every year, and then she would buy items and like give them to her relatives, and then fly back.
It's crazy, man. Like, yeah, I would. So what I did was like, I actually stumbled upon it on accident. I was out to dinner and I found it out, right? But like, what I did was like when I found, and you guys can watch my old YouTube video. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but like what I did is like I found out about this information. Like I go in and like, you know how you can leave a message on Amazon, like after you place like a gift order that says like thank you or something like that, and you can leave a message. Yo, she would be like happy birthday to like such and such, and I'd be like, yo, it's sick. Like she's not even covering her tracks. She's like not even trying. And I was like, all right, I got you. So like I pinpointed everything, and like I was like, all right, I got you. And all I had to do was call Chase, and I was like, look, I got all the information right here. And they were literally able to like go dot to dot to dot. And they were like, all right, we see what you're talking about. And I was able to get all the money back. I fired this chick. She worked with me for like 6 months. She was actually doing her job, but you have to be diligent and like really know what you're getting into, and just like look at your numbers. Like people, that's one thing I got to tell you, like make sure you're checking your numbers, because the profits that you should be having and what is happening, like you got to just double check on that. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a given. So a little bit about the MC011. I'm sure a lot of people are here for that or anything like that. And I'm just wondering, what did it say when you got the email or the message on eBay, and how did you, go about it happened earlier. It happened before 2019, I believe, right?
Right. So I found out later on what it was. And like with my MC011 restriction, it seems like my second store I had started, I wasn't being as diligent on it, and I wasn't funding back after. I think what would happen, if I remember correctly, is that people were ordering items and like they canceled it, and I didn't get the money back to them fast enough. And like eBay was like, yo, you guys got like a stack of money that needs to go back to like customers, and like it wasn't getting back to them fast enough. And like that's when they started cracking down, and they just like came down on my store. They're like, yo, you guys.
Well, that was a newer store, right?
It was. And like they just like went hardcore on it. They were just like, you need to get this money back to all these people. And like I was like, oh crap, I didn't realize it was happening. Like I had my VAs running it, and we just weren't being as diligent as we needed to be. So that's how my problem arose. And I thought I was running it perfectly. I was like, there's nothing really going on wrong around here. But most of the time, like you are making mistakes. Like even if you don't realize it, a lot of times it does come back down to you and like how you're mismanaging it. And that's what happened with me. So they were just like, your other store is doing phenomenal. And with the MC011 restriction, before we got to that point, what I had to do was like I had to send them in a bunch of information. Like they want to know where all your items came from. They wanted like a couple of things of information. Mostly it was where my items came from and like receipts from it and stuff like that. So the weird thing about the MC011 restriction is that you can only upload like 10 files at a time. So like if you have 1,000 items on your store and you can only upload 10 files, like I was like, this is retarded. So I'll go into another topic, which I know Tom, and I was yelling at Tom about this before earlier, was when eBay came back at that one account and they were just like, yo, we need your tax registrations from all your tax exempt states. And I was like, I went crazy on eBay over this. I'll talk to you after about this. But like, Paul just went live and he talked about this as well. But like, I have a crazier story than that. So what happened was when eBay came at me and they wanted the MC011 restriction, and they were just like, we need the receipts from all your suppliers. So what I did in my situation is I went to Amazon and I got the receipts, and I was like, look, I bought these items, and like I just sent them like the Amazon receipts. And I didn't think enough to do a PDF file, which is what I did later on with the state sales tax. But what I did with the eBay receipts is like I would copy them all, and like I showed that I purchased the items from Amazon, and I copied the receipts and I sent them to eBay. And I only sent 10 because like that's their file limit. And I was like, look, if you're only gonna
so you did 10 at a time, dude, for thousands, or you yelled at them?
No, I just said, look, you only give me enough space for 10, so that's all I'm gonna give you. So I gave them 10. I was like, that's it, that's all you get. And they were just
my God.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, I don't care how many items I got on there. I was like, what are you guys gonna do about it? So they were just like, so they came back to me and they were just like, all right, we got to go through your store. And I would call them up like periodically throughout the week. And they were like, all right, we need more information. They were like, I was like, how is the sale going? And at that point, I think one of the reps had known me. And this was for having like an anchor store. So you know how you get the anchor store reps? He was like, you can
call in no matter what. I do it all the time.
this one remembered me, and he was like,
Yeah.
I remember you. Do you not remember me? And I was like, ooh. I was like, that doesn't sound good already. So I was like, I knew this was going down the wrong way. So he kind of like pigeonholed that one store. I knew it wasn't going to be recoverable after that. He was just like, we had issues ahead of time. And I was like, oh, this is probably one guy I got mad with. He was a little flamboyant, and I got nothing against that, but and I don't discriminate at all, but we just didn't see eye to eye about our stores, and I probably mouthed off to him a little bit too much, and he just wasn't happy with me.
Hey,
So
I've definitely been there. I can tell you that.
he put me through the ringer. So he was like, I need all this information, and he would pinpoint me. And this went on for like 2 or 3 weeks. So like they kept having me refund all my customers. So like if a case would open up and I knew I was going to win the case, I would specifically stop the case and like refund the buyer, even though I knew I was going to win the case, just so I could hurry up this MC011 restriction. So that happened for the whole month, I would say, of November. I was just refunding, canceling all these cases. All these cases kept popping up, and they were like, oh, since this case popped up, it's going to be another 3 days to like a week before we can solve this issue. It's going to be another 3 days to a week. And it kept happening because my store was so big at that time. Like I was just refunding. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are killing me.
And not to cut you off, but do you not think that, I mean, obviously things have changed since then, but first off, do you think that if you nowadays, since, they did say retail arbitrage isn't allowed on eBay in January, do you think if you turned in your Amazon receipts now, now that it's April, do you think that they would ban you, or do you think that they would accept it? Because I've heard them not wanting that anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure it's definitely a not wanting situation.
Yeah, and another thing about that is you were selling open box items from Amazon on that account, weren't you?
Yes, it was mainly open box items. So like
that's the main issue, I believe, is because of the fact that you had so many cases that kept coming in, because even though it's open box like new, it's that, I mean, you and I both can attest to the fact that people are definitely lying about the condition of their items.
Oh yeah, like that's one of the main things. Like you guys got to stay up on your like metrics. Like these people are going to destroy you on your metrics now. And like that's one of the main things with the open box items is like it's a can of worms, to be honest. Like that's the best way I can describe it, because you don't know what you're shipping out to the customer. Like somebody can label it as, at least like if it's a new item, like it's pretty much new. But like if you're shipping an open box item, like it could be damaged, it could be missing pieces, like you just don't know. And Amazon is not taking the time to like double check this stuff. I'm telling you right now, their business is like so huge, they're just like not checking anything.
Well, it's because that they're relying on their customers to be, or their sellers to be, faithful in saying what they are. And I even have buddies that do sell items that they get from pallets and return pallets from like Walmart and Target and things like that in huge bulk. And he says, he's like, yeah, I mean, I just start throwing things in there, and if somebody complains, they complain, and then, but he tries to just cover it up with enough volume that you can just start throwing these random items and say they're like new. And then, as drop shippers, one person commented on my YouTube channel today saying like he saw the PayPal video I made about how if you return a refund in May, you're not going to get your fees back. And he was definitely someone that just found my channel from wherever. And he's like, I've never had a return since 2013. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty improbable if you're a drop shipper. But it turned out he just sells things that he buys, used things. He was talking about like autographed baseball cards and stuff. But I was like, even new items, as a drop shipper, you are relying on the supplier, Walmart or whatever supplier you're using, to even say that that item's new and not destroyed from the manufacturer. You don't have the ability to look at it and say, all right, this one's good, this one's not good. So that's kind of the issue. Even with new items, I've seen mistakes like this happen. So when you're using the Amazon like new used open box policy, yes, you are getting huge profit margins. And yes, it was awesome back in the day, and back when cases didn't matter as much.
Yeah.
But now, even with a short amount of time difference, I was doing really well with it back in August and September. Now, 7-8 months later, it's a completely different ball game, basically.
Yeah, it's completely changed. Like, so if you were in my situation, you got hit with that MC011 restriction, like my best option for you guys right now would be to see if you can get a wholesale supplier that sells generic ass shit, like generic, like every fucking item you can like have, and I'm sure you can find them underneath the sun. Like if I had to right now, I could research it, how to get the certificate from it. Like we have fucking Google. So like I know it's hard to understand, but like this thing is like the godsend. So like if I were you, if I got hit with this MC011 restriction and I was told to get receipts, I would first contact a supplier of generic items that sells like a large variety of items and get that person to see if I can get the certificate from them that shows like, hey, I'm an actual wholesaler from you, and send that to eBay stating that that's your contract with them, because they do allow contracts, but
Yeah.
it's not set in stone yet. So that's how I would handle it this way.
And another thing is what really determines a contract. That's my biggest issue with a situation like this is how do you even know what determines a contract in eBay's eyes? I don't even think eBay knows. That's one of the biggest issues. I would say one of the best generic wholesale suppliers like that I've seen is Petra, Petra. They're just pretty random out there. I know Matt Gambrell talks about them. There's another one called like D&H Distributing. And then there's another one called Sunrise Wholesale. They're all kind of like these weird wholesale, pseudo wholesale suppliers that act like they're wholesale, but I believe that they're more expensive in most cases than anything else. But you do get contracts with them and you are allowed to do that. And that is really kind of the way that, I mean, I've seen eBay accepting some of these things for some other people out there.
Right.
So before we get too deep into this, I mean, we got already a ton of messages here. So do you have them up on your screen as well?
I don't have them, but just like go for it.
Doesn't matter. I'll read them off. Don't worry. So Christian Salinas is here. He's on every single live. So thank you very much, Christian. We got Jameson Social. What'd you say?
Tell him I said what's up.
Oh, you can say what's up. You have a microphone as well. So he said for Brian, was the MC01 ban on a new account? We already went over that. So yes, it was on a newer account. Juan 2 says, hey, Christian or Carno. Hey, Tom, why does your voice sound deeper? It's, I hit puberty. So you said, all right. So we get over this part. Looking forward to tonight's live. Joe Cox is here. Wholesale Direct. That's Noah. How's it going, man? Tori Wilson's here. Says that my voice is mad deep. Good evening, Brian and Tom from Tennessee. We got multiple people from Tennessee in here. Serious greetings from Michigan. New to all of this. Welcome, Derek. I feel like I've seen you on a few of these lives before. So, welcome back. Do we have any other questions here? Definitely got to do some double accounting on your items. Yes, that is very true. So Juan 2 says you got hit with an MC011 on Wednesday on his new manual store. Juan, I would like to ask you first off, is this a new manual store that did you have any open cases on it? Was there any issues? Why do you think it happened? Because the majority of the time I see it happen with people, there's always been some sort of cases or some sort of issues. So I'd like to, at least address this right now. Jason's here. What's up, Jason? How's it going? I'll see you tomorrow. And then I hear all about Jameson says, I hear all about these MC011 issues, but I wonder exactly what these people's metrics look like. That's what I've always kind of seen, is that even if the metrics don't look too bad, in the actual metrics part, eBay doesn't put every single metric in there, like the amount of returns you get or the amount of items not received cases open. They don't really talk about that unless you go into the service metrics part. And that's what I think is one of the biggest issues. If you think about anybody here that sells on Amazon, Amazon tells you that there's a metric called the order defect rate, and that's the amount of negative feedback plus the amount of A to Z claims plus the amount of chargebacks, I believe, all together divided by the amount of sales you've had in the last 60 days. If that number is over 1%, there's a good chance that you can get your account banned or shut down. And that's really what I've seen. eBay doesn't really talk about the amount of negative feedbacks you receive. No, they don't. There's no metric for that minus just your feedback score, which Amazon also has, but they also count it against you in that way. Same thing with A to Z claims, kind of like an items not received case. Same thing with the chargebacks claims. They don't really talk about those, but there's definitely a secret metric going on underlying where is what I think is tricking or triggering this MC011. Do you believe the same thing, Brian?
I'm going to go with yeah. And I'm going to get on that question as well. He says, here's about all these people with the MC011 restriction. It happens randomly sometimes too. You just don't know when it's coming. So my metrics were pretty much 100%, to be honest. I didn't really have too many issues on my store. For the most part, like I said before, I think it was the cancellations that the money wasn't going back fast enough, it seems like. So that seemed
that was around the time where when they changed the return policy that if
Right.
you didn't refund them within 2 days.
Yes, that just had happened though, and it wasn't
Yeah.
in practice yet. So like my store kind of was like grandfathered into that new practice without it actually being established yet. So I think that's what happened with that store too. Cause like right after that, we got hit with the new service metrics, got just put into place. Like all the new like rules were just rolling out. That was that final eBay update for the, the fall or winter 2018 fucking update that was going on. That was like the final like one that was coming through, that kind of big wave of it. So I think that store kind of fell into that like trap. Plus, it didn't really help. I was just selling open box items on there. It kind of like really
No, it doesn't help.
yeah, it really wasn't. I was like, yo, open box items were doing phenomenal on my other store. I was like, let's just try it out on another store. And it just didn't happen to go that way. So it happened.
Hey, I did kind of the same thing too. So, I mean, let's be honest. I opened up another store just for open box items as well. Or just I switched a whole entire store with open box. OBF1 says just banned indefinitely 1 week ago with MC011. What do I need to do? I would say do exactly what Brian did, except try to get an agreement with a wholesale supplier and provide that to them. Worst comes to worst, they're going to limit you to probably one account. I highly doubt that they'll indefinitely ban you across all of your accounts if you have more than one. Christian says, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I believe that's when he was talking about you yelling at an eBay rep. Yeah. Are you using Amazon as a supplier? Bastards had me out of business for 2 weeks back in November. Tom, I agree. People do not read the entire listing before they buy. They receive it, and the customer realizes the item is not what they purchased. That's also very true with the open box items. I mean, a lot of people say used like new, and they think that it's brand new or something, which it should be. But there's definitely an issue there. There's a reason why it got returned or anything like that. I mean, there's definitely clearly an issue. And yeah, Robert also says open box items not the way to sell. Too many unknowns. And that's exactly the way I am starting to preach in 2019, because there's just so many different rules out there now that have been really put in place so that you can't be doing exactly what we were doing last year. I mean, we were last year selling Amazon onto eBay in bulk. The way we were doing it was the definition of just negligence. And in all honesty, it was just negligently selling on an account and negligently just opening up or getting as many return cases open, canceling as many items as possible, and really not seeing any ill effects from doing so. Do you agree with that?
I would 100% agree with that. It was amazing at the time. Let me tell you, like,
yeah, it was awesome. I mean, you didn't have to care.
Speed and like the amount of items like we were selling, it's ridiculous. Like, I kid you not. Like, one thing that fascinates me entirely is just the volume that we sold. Last year, I did $500,000 in sales. Like, I'm not kidding. I have a 1099K to prove it. Like, I did $500,000. Tom even did more than that.
I did 1.3 million.
That is absurd. So like, just think about all the items we were moving at that time. So like, I'm telling you, I kid you not, like, this is how much we did. And like, if you have any questions about it, like, I'm telling you, like, this is what I went through. So like, that stupid MC011 restriction, it just happened at like one of the major changes that eBay happened to make at that time. So that's basically how it came about.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all about rolling with the punches at this point. I mean, you always want to make sure that you're playing within the rules, and just, even though if you don't agree with the rules, you still have to play within, you're in eBay's playground. You kind of have to really go that way. I mean, it's what you have to do if you want to succeed. And if you want to be able to keep your accounts alive long enough to see some success here. So, I mean, a few other questions just to catch up. Alex says, yo, what's up, e-commerce? Thomas, how's it going? That's definitely Jason's cousin here. Jason says, Tom, your voice sounds like Darth Vader. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with my microphone. I'm sorry. Joseph Cox donated $4.99. I appreciate it, Joe. Joe is a star student at the moment. He's absolutely killing it. I believe he hit 34,000 in sales recently in the last 30 days. So, I mean, props to him. You put in the he's the prime example of you put in effort, you follow what I'm teaching inside the new course, and you're going to see success. And I mean, work a ton. You're not going to hit 34,000 in your first month and a half on a new account without working full time at it. So he says, great, valuable info on how to deal with this. Thanks, Tom and Brian. Thank you very much, Joe. Peggy says, hi, everyone. All right, so we're almost caught up here. Juan says, Tom, I had one case and it closed. My favorite eBay said I was hit because my store is new and it was unavoidable. I haven't really seen anybody say that eBay tells them it was unavoidable. I've seen a lot of other things, but it's mainly I've seen cancellations, items not received cases, returns, high rates of returns right away. And I really do think that's one of the biggest things, but sometimes maybe, there could be an issue, some other issue underlying that I'm not sure about. Alex says, hey, Tom, I've been looking at the course. What do you go over? And I'll go over that in a bit towards the end. And how do you overcome the restrictions and regain full seller status? That's why we tuned in. So we'll go over that in a second. But right now, there are 55 people watching this. So if you do like what you are seeing, please hit the like button on this video. We got 13 likes and 55 people watching. The math is not adding up here. Also, if you have not subscribed and you've been following me in the dark for a while, I do have the Darth Vader voice, I guess, but please come out of the dark and, please subscribe to the channel. I would highly appreciate it. We are growing a lot faster now that I've been putting out regular content. It's really weird that happens. It's crazy. They tell you put out regular content and you'll grow fast, and it works. It's pretty amazing. So Bruce Mason says, how did you overcome the restrictions and regain full seller status? That's why we tuned in. So do you want to quickly overview that? Just so everybody, just a quick recap on everything.
All right, so here we go. Here's the bread and butter of why you guys actually tuned in right now. I'm about to give it to you fucking spoon-fed, okay? So check it out. Listen, everything I'm about to tell you, every little thing, okay? So when I got hit with this MC011 restriction, I was freaking out just like everybody else was, right? I was like, oh, man, this is the end of my fucking store. It's a brand new store. I'm fucked. Like, okay. But my second account was still able to sell on it. My second account was my major store. The one who got the MC011 would happen to be my newer, smaller account. So that got hit. They stopped all sales coming through on that account. They were limiting it and not allowing me to sell on it. I kept calling in daily to make sure I could cancel or like get whatever I could to keep that account open. Okay. So what happened is I kept calling eBay, and eBay was like, oh, there's this new case. You got to have this case closed. So I would close the case. I refund the buyer. And like it kept happening. Like new cases would open up. A case would open up. Once again, these are open box items. So like the cases for these would just be astronomical. Like on a regular day basis, like you could have like at least 2 to 3 that popped up. So in a week, that's like what, 21 that could possibly happen. 7 times 3, I don't know. It could be a lot. So we're talking about multiple cases that happen all the time. And some of these cases I knew I was going to win. Some of these absolutely I knew I was going to win, okay? And this is before the big change that eBay made in the winter of 2018. They changed a lot of things at that time, okay? So what I did is I kept refunding everybody, and I lost a lot at that time. And my main objective was just to see if I can get that second account back. Like I never even thought I was going to lose my first account. So what happened was I was able to get that second account back to where it was like kind of like not getting any cases anymore. And eBay finally was like, okay, this account is like, okay, we're going to review everything. So they took their time, they reviewed everything. And when they came back to me, they were like, hey, we're going to allow you to sell, but you can only use one account. The account that I was allowed to use was my flagged account, which we knew what was going on already. So that's why I started the second account, because Tom said, hey, start up a second account and you'll be good to go. And that's what I tried to do. And like I kept it rolling. And Tom was ahead of the game with that shit. He knew ahead of time, like starting a second account was a way to go. I kept trying to work with my flagged account, okay? So I tried to keep rolling with that account. And what happened was they just stopped the sales coming through on my second account, and they deleted every single item I had up. I probably had out, I want to say about like at least 5,000 items on that store. And they just took everything down. One day I just got like hundreds of emails. Boom, 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 boom. Your item has been like removed like multiple times. I was like coming home from work and I was just like, really? Like, oh man, this sucks. Like, what is going on? I'm like stuck in traffic, like seeing all these emails come through like this. All of a sudden happened after that, after they decided what was going to take place after the MC011 restriction. Like that one store was going to get demolished. Like they took it down. So I was like, all right, like this is what's going to happen. So I was like, whatever. I still got my flagged account. I'm going to roll with it. And I tried. I pushed it as hard as I possibly could. I kept rolling with this account. Like it was flagged and everything. But like I was able to get discounted gift cards. I was able to play the game as best as I could with a flagged account. And I ran with it up until about, I would say, February into March. And that's when I was doing all my accounting, and I was showing everybody like how to keep track of all their profits and stuff. And I had known where I was at. That's how I was able to figure out that my VA was stealing from me. I'm very good at finances. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't know, number crunching is just like one of my go-to things. It's weird, but I like knowing where my numbers are at. So I was able to pinpoint like where every transaction was taking place that I couldn't account for. And I contacted Chase at that point, and I put in a fraud charge, and I knew that was going on. So at that point, my flagged account was actually getting hit. However, 2 months before then, and this is important, 2 months before then, I tried to set up a second account, and I was successful. Okay? I'm going to say that again. This was after I got hit with the MC011. And then I had a flagged account. They said I was limited to one account. And I set up another one because I wanted to push the limit. So I was like, yo, I don't care what they're telling me right now, but I'm going to try this. And it
You better
worked.
hope they don't see this.
I don't care. Whatever.
Okay.
So I was like, I got a story for that too. You know what I'm about to say. So I got that going on. And I was able to list 10 items. And then what happened after that is it was linked to what's it called again? Like a tool, like a software. It was linked to Sale Freaks, okay? It was linked to Sale Freaks, and I didn't want to push it because I didn't want that store to be flagged too. And like I contacted some other guy who got an MC011. He was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna push it." So I kind of like tiptoed around it. I'm like, I still got this flagged account that's working for me. Like, why push it this far? So I'm like, all right, I got this account, and I sold a couple of items like 5 times, and I was like, like that got me thinking. I was like, what is going on right now? So fast forward. Now I kind of like stopped everything going down on that store. I was like, I don't want to push it any further. Never contacted eBay to allow me to increase my limits. I was limited to 10 items up to like $1,000 or whatever. I was underneath, but I had 10 items on there. I was like, I don't want to push this, but I was able to sell it after being restricted down to one store. Okay. Now fast forward. My main account got destroyed because of my VA. And it just sometimes this stuff happens. You can't like really predict it, but I caught it up. I removed everything off of that main account. And now I started up a second account on top of that. So I had the first account, which was part of the MC011 restriction. I had my main account. In that time frame, I also started another account that was linked to Sale Freaks that was able to sell items after I got hit with the MC011 restriction. So I knew that it was possible. So recently, I set up a manual store, and that is still attached to my account that is linked with the MC011 restriction that says I'm only allowed to sell one store. I've sold 2 items so far. My sales have been $201 on that linked account, linked to the MC011 restriction, linked to only allowing me to sell on one store. Okay. Now,
How many items do you have listed?
I have 6 items listed. I don't even have the full 10 yet.
I know.
But it's crazy. Now I'm about to throw some crazy curveball at you. So I hit Tom up before we even went over this. And I told him, like, yo, I sold like 2 items with my manual store after this MC011 restriction, okay? Crazy part is, after I got done texting him, eBay hit me up. We just increased your limits. You're now able to sell 30 items with $3,000, or I think it's $3,000, like $3,000 sales limit. Okay. So this is what I'm talking. I didn't even have to call in yet. I didn't call in yet. However, there is a clause within the MC011 restriction that I got. And this is for all you guys that are like lawyers and like people who are diligent in reading, okay? There was a clause that said until we see that your sales and that something about sales and the way that you run your store are acceptable again, we've limited you down to one account. It wasn't indefinitely down to one account. That is the main thing you have to understand. And in my mind, I kind of like made a wall to say that, okay, there's only one account I can use. However, I kind of like push myself all the time. And I was able to set up 2 accounts, not only just one, but 2. And I sold on both of them after the MC011 restriction. The one was linked to a software, the other one is not. And the one that is not, I'm using currently. And I just had my limits increased without even calling in. That's what you guys came here for. That's the bread and butter. Now hit me with whatever fucking questions you got.
So some people did say that it's a little hard to follow. So the main point of this, what Brian is saying, is he got MC011. He did what he needed to do to get his account back. He then created, 2 accounts connected to the same account, even though they said you're only allowed to sell on one account moving forward. And they tell you what account it is. Like they told him what account he had to sell on, and that account was flagged. So why would you want to sell on it? Because you're not going to be making sales unless you're doing all these back end, crazy tactics that I think are not worthwhile. So he then just created another account. eBay just didn't even realize, and they're all connected, even though they said you're limited to one account. And basically he's selling again. He started manual store. They literally raised his limits without him even asking, which really goes to show that the infrastructure on the back end of eBay is negatively put together. I can tell you that. They can't even track the fact that they limited him to one account and then he just made another account, even though they said they limited him to one account. So never believe what they tell you, because you might as well just try and create another account no matter what, because it doesn't seem like they can even actually track it. So I think we should go over some of the questions here. And, really just try to, I feel like the rest of these questions are going to lead to the end of this live. So we might as well start going with it now. So all right, we already answered that one. So some people keep asking, what is open box? Basically, open box is a way to sell used items from Amazon on eBay through Sale Freaks. It seemed like a very great idea at the time. And when it came out, it was pretty monumental. But with just the amount of restrictions that eBay's putting on the fact that if you get a lot of returns, it's not good. Refunds, it's not good. And just the high amounts. If you get too many returns in one specific category, you're going to get 4% extra fees in that category. It's really not worthwhile to even do anymore. We were getting like crazy sales and crazy high margins, but you're going to get flagged and you're going to get higher. You're going to ruin your account basically doing it. I'm going to be honest here. So that was 2 people's questions. Christian says, are you guys using the file exchange to list on the manual store? You only have 6 items on your manual store, so I'm guessing you did them by hand.
All by hand right now. Everything's sourced by hand, listed by hand. I just wanted to go as rogue as I could with this one and just see what would happen.
Yeah. So for me, I just have a bunch of virtual assistants. I don't want to confuse them. And I do think that listing by hand is still a way to get a more in-depth listing. Even if you do use SKU Fetch, they miss some information. It's hard to, get all the information in before you actually list it. And I'm a firm believer that I think you should list every item with a fully complete listing from the get-go. I don't think you should, half list it and then try to go in afterwards and change things. I don't think that that's going to be good for the initial SEO of the item. That might just be some superstition that I have, but I think it makes sense to me in my opinion. So that's kind of why I still just have my VAs doing manual. Marcelo says, is there another marketplace to sell excluding eBay or Amazon? There's a ton of marketplaces out there, but are they good? eBay and Amazon are obviously number 1 and number 2. Amazon being number 1. And you can make your own Shopify store. That's kind of making your own platform. And from there's a bunch of other ones like Bonanza and other things like that. But are they worthwhile to even attempt to sell on? I don't think so. I'm sure there's a way that you could make any platform work as long as you want to go out there and be rogue about it. But is there any platforms like eBay and Amazon where there's a ton of sellers out there and a ton of information to get out there on stuff like this? No, I don't think so. Do you think so?
No, probably your best bet right now is Amazon and eBay. You can look up the marketplaces and how they rate online if you go on Google, and you can tell which ones are getting the most traffic. Right now it's Amazon. eBay, I think, is falling and trailing behind. Walmart is starting to become a second one.
I've heard it's awful to sell on Walmart, though. I can tell you that right now. It's
probably terrible, but they're probably, within the next 10 years, you guys got to realize, your malls are, going to shit. The next online retail space, if you haven't realized right now, is going to be the next online. The next retail space is going to be within online. So if you own, an Amazon store, think about it. Marketplaces are going to be bidding on the retail space that you own within that Amazon storefront to buy your store. So
they do that already.
Yeah, you have to this is the fucking wave of the future. So like you're seeing it predicting right now. Like you got stores like Sears going out, you got Toys R Us going out of business. Like in the
I think
future,
Sears and Toys R Us are going strictly online now.
because it's the smart move. Like I don't understand why you wouldn't. Instead of paying to have like your storefront, you can just cut all that cost and just move over to like more inventory or something online. It doesn't make any sense. So that's what I'm trying to say. So like other big giant stores such as like Walmart is going to become a marketplace in the future. You're going to see it. It's going to transition. It's not just going to be like your home, your gardening, and like your everyday like items. It's going to be like a fucking warehouse like Amazon. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Etsy and things like that too. But again, you can look up the rankings for like the marketplaces on Google. It'll like give you a list of which ones are visited the most, and you can justify it by that.
That's very true. So Lazy Abram asks a question that I'm going to answer. What credit score did you have before applying for the Spark business card, 2% cash back? 770. But I mean, I don't know if you need one that's that good. I don't really know. I don't know how much business credit cards actually take into consideration your personal credit. I'm guessing they do, but I only have I have 3 business credit cards actually, but I'm not as well versed in business credit cards as I would say I am in regular credit cards. But it's a great card so far. Once I got it up and running, there was a few hiccups there. Ty's on the live. I don't know if he still is, but how's it going, Ty? He said he never got MC011. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people haven't. A lot of people have. That's why I suggest people make an eBay account and then leave it alone for like 1 to 2 months. I've seen a lot of success with me doing that, and I've mainly done that by accident. I'm just the type of guy that wants to create a new account for a different experiment, and all these different experiments always keep adding up. And I have all these old accounts, and I forgot the password to that one back in the day. Let me make a new one. Then eventually I just uncovered that I have like 8, 10, 12 accounts, and I completely forgot that I have half of them. Gail's in here. Gail is my grandmother, my online grandmother that I met in real life. Thank you so much for showing up, and I hope you enjoy this live, Gail. So Marcelo said I could not create another account after I got MC011. I don't see how that's a thing, because all you have to do is just create another account. I don't think that they're going to stop you, really. They could stop you after you create it, but what is stopping you from putting in a new email and just saying, hey, unless you have something to say about that?
Yeah, let me jump in. Like, it depends on like what your MC011 restriction was. So like, I forget what was the name of the guy? I don't know what his name is. Marcelo, like it depends on like what your MC011. You need to go back and you need to read that email. Like you need to understand what they say. If it's restricted indefinitely from selling on eBay, then that's what it is. You're restricted indefinitely.
You really messed up.
Yeah, then you definitely screwed up. Like fortunately for me, like I had ran another store and it was like super fucking successful. It was doing over 100K a month. So like this little store, I was just like, man, it would have been nice to make like an extra income, but it got kind of like screwed over, and I was like, all right. So like since then I pushed the limits. Like I was just like, all right, like, and no, like somebody else asked in here, is it just luck? It is kind of just luck, because like I asked ahead of time beforehand. I was like, has anybody done this? And I don't think anybody has like been able to take the risk that I have, like that I know.
I mean, I don't think other people try really though.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't try.
Yeah. And I'm not somebody to sit back and just be like, oh, woe is me. Like, I'm like, all right, what can I do about this? So like, well, just for you guys, for your sake, that's what I do. I just push forward from here. So I don't.
You're already banned. So, yeah, and you're limited to one flagged account.
What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get destroyed. Like they're going to shut down your eBay account, and you move over to Amazon, worst case scenario. Or you can just like, I don't know. If you really want to pursue it, there's ways to get stealth accounts. And like, yes, I've looked into it. No, I don't have anything going like that right now, but I have looked into it and I do have options available. But I'm just saying, like with my account right now, I was able to push the limits, and I said, okay, like, I rolled with that flagged account for a while, kept it clean, kept it rolling. And like actually Ty said, 1 to 2 months later, like I just decided to try out that other manual store, and like what happened, like it was successful. Like I sold 2 items with 6 listings, and I'm able to list now 30 items. Like eBay hit me up the first day I sold the item. There was just like, your listings can now be increased. Like you can sell 30 items now with $3,000 limits, like after the MC011 restriction. So you can create other stores. Like I am I'm telling you right now, I did it. Like, I have proof of it. I just did it. I pretty much posted it on Tom's page saying that I did it. That's the actual proof that I actually did it. Like, that was my first sale on that account, utilizing $45 after I'd just gone back and got 2,500 from the fraud that was going on my first account and the MC011. So it's just about perseverance. Like, sometimes you have to like take these obstacles and really push back. Like, is how serious are you going to be? You know, like, and yes, I may eventually down the line be, you know, completely limited and like not be able to sell. But like at this point, I have nothing else to lose, and I'm just going to test it and see what happens.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, and I got the will, so get the fuck out of the way.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't have that. So was it luck? Ty says, what happened to your voice? I don't know, dude. There's something wrong with my mic. Will a store get banned, restricted if one uses a lister like DSM tool? You're going to get your account flagged. Everything I've ever talked in 2019 is if you are using an automated lister, if you're using primarily Amazon onto eBay, if you're going about it with complete negligence, your account is going to get flagged. You will be making no sales on your account. If you want to go the good old price your items at 0% profit and go for sketchy discounted gift cards and try to make money on the cash back, by all means, go for it. That's not the way I want to build a business. That's not the way I believe anybody should try to build a business or try to teach anybody to build a business, because that's not how you should be running a business. You shouldn't be running a business based off strictly fraud. And that's what these discounted gift cards are. They're coming from fraudulent sources. Nobody out there just sells Amazon gift cards for 15% off. It's just nobody out there is just doing the world a favor like that. It's clearly from fraudulent activity. And that's just the number one thing I want to get across to people that are trying to do things like this is if you just create a new account, go manual, make sure you do everything properly. If you get my course, everything inside of my course is going to teach you exactly what to do. You will not get your account banned. Nothing bad is going to happen, and you will not get flagged. From there, you can list items, sell them at 8%, 10% front end, and then make some money on the back end with the cash back and feel at least good about yourself that you're not frauding somebody out of their money. I mean, some people were telling me that they're getting Amazon gift cards at 20% off. Like, that just doesn't happen regularly. Nobody's just saying, hey, my grandma gave me $100 Amazon gift card. I don't want it anymore. I'm just going to sell it to you for $80. Like, that doesn't happen on the high scale that these gift cards are coming into the system. I can tell you that right now. So Jameson says, I will have my VAs list everything by hand to fulfill manually so details aren't missed. It's very true. And Christian cannot get over the fact that I list every item manually. You've asked this question 4 times. So you literally list every manual list each and every item standard way, no bulk listing. Yes, every single item is manually listed. When you have enough VAs behind it, if you personally list 10 items yourself every day for a month, you'll have 300 items in your store. You don't even need more than 500 to make literally a full-time income. So I'm not understanding the amazement here, but you get more out of it. You can see every single item specific. On SKU Fetch, they don't put everything in there. You can't add item specifics unless you can. I've never figured it out, and I don't want to, because it leads to you making more mistakes, or your virtual assistant make more mistakes. If you tell them exactly what they need to do step by step in a manual listing, you can go in, you can change the pictures, you can go in. Sometimes it glitches out on SKU Fetch. Sometimes it takes too long to upload. What if there's a mistake? This, and that. There isn't any mistakes if you go in there manually and just do it. It doesn't take that much longer. It's really, once you train your VAs, they have a whole list of items that they sourced out. If you use the item sourcing sheet that I give you within the course, Christian, you have the course. You get 100 items up there. You just go and list 5, 10 a day. You'll have them up in a month or so, and you'll be fine. I mean, that's the way to go. Sarah Wilson says, how to make it automated ordering. Do you use software? You'll never get it to be automated ordering unless you're doing strictly Amazon onto eBay, which doesn't work anymore. Isn't eBay changing their store structure where 2,500 listings is the biggest? This is true. I do believe they are doing that, but I never really read into it. They are changing the store structure, but I mean, I only have a basic store right now, so there's really no need anything more than that. You don't really need to worry about that. How much do you recommend? I'm not talking about rental properties, Christian. My store got MC011. Now I can't create another account. If I create eBay, just restrict me. What can I do? At that point, Marcel, you're going to have to go stealth. And I don't think that's really the topic since we only have 10 minutes left on this live to get into. Do you want to talk about that, Brian? Just literally 2 minutes.
Like, I feel, Marcel, you really got to go back and read that email. Like, if I were you, I'd post it in the free group so like you can show what your email actually says. Like unless I see it, I can't actually like tell you any information on it. Like there's got to be something written in there that says like you are indefinitely suspended from selling on eBay. Otherwise, you should be able to still create another account. That's what I'm trying to say. So like, you have a question, post it in the free eBay group, tag me in it, and I'll try and answer it to you, or at least read it over to see what I can think of it.
Yeah, I mean that is also a good idea. So Marcel already did that. Created it with another email. eBay knows they have us by the balls. Honestly, it's not like everybody tries to play this victim mentality, but in reality, it's like you're on eBay's platform. They created this platform where you don't have to go out and create or generate any traffic. All you need to do is list the listing, make sure there's like semi-decent keywords, and thousands of people will see those items as long as you're playing by their rules. If you don't play by their rules, they have the ability to tell you that you can't see your items. And what are you going to say, Brian?
I got something for this. So like for all you guys who don't know my background story, like I had the option. So let me just make it simple. Like I had actually worked for a towing company and I had sold a wrecker. Okay. This wrecker cost $78,000. Okay. And the easiest way for me to sell this wrecker and within 1 week was eBay. Somebody from Miami bought it. I didn't have to do any marketing. I had done it outside of there and nobody was like interested in it. I'd called hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tow trucking companies to see if they'd be interested in buying a used wrecker from one company. It sold in eBay in less than a fucking week. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like the marketing and the tactics that these guys are able to use to get your item visible by like hundreds of thousands of people at a time to generate that one lead that generates to one buy is ridiculous. So like you need to put that into perspective. Like that eBay may have you by the balls to a certain extent because they are a marketplace. And yes, things are going to be changing rapidly within the next year. I know in the UK right now, they have actually just implemented new laws for the online marketplaces, which actually establish more level playing field for the sellers on those marketplaces, which is going to come into effect sooner or later within the US as well, because marketplaces online are becoming such a huge topic and a large revenue stream, and a lot of people are getting involved in it. But let me put this in perspective again. I was able to sell a $78,000 wrecker online on my first eBay account within 1 week. 1 week without doing any other marketing besides listing on eBay. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like that's how powerful this program is and how powerful the marketplace is. Use that to your advantage. Yes, they do have you by the balls. Just play by the fucking rules and you'll be okay.
Another thing about that is think about how many people start these Shopify stores because they're getting sold this dream of this course that they're going to list all these items on Shopify. It's going to be the best thing that they've ever seen. And then they're going to make all this money when this dude rolls up in a Lamborghini. Nobody in the eBay dropshipping sphere is selling you the Lamborghini dream lifestyle or anything like that. And legitimately, eBay is the easiest place to get started. They have the most lenient rules, even though this entire live is about their rules, but they have the most lenient rules compared to Amazon. Amazon will ban you and keep your money. You got $40,000 in there, they'll keep it. They don't have to give it back to you. Technically, they do, but they don't. Sometimes they don't. Jason, my roommate, got banned on Amazon for a complete bullshit case, and they're holding $13,000 of his for 7 months now. 7 months. eBay doesn't do that. eBay will most likely always give you your money back. I've never heard of anybody getting their money held from eBay. Secondly, Shopify, you have to drive traffic to your listings. You have to drive all sorts of different traffic. You have to learn Facebook ads. You have to learn this. You have to build your website. Does anybody know how to really build a website? I've watched Jason do it twice, and it's awful. I couldn't do it. I would never want to do that. And then thirdly, I don't even know what my third point is, but eBay is definitely the easiest place to get started. And people are always find a way to complain about it. There's nobody out there selling you like a gimmicky course. There's nobody out there selling you the dream that it's going to work, even though it's not going to. Like it will work on eBay. If you take, like you said, 6 listings. When I remade my course in the last month and I created a brand new account for that course, I sold an item the second day and I only had 6 listings up and I didn't even optimize these listings. So if you list 6 listings, it seems like you're going to sell at least 1 item on eBay. And then you'll prove to yourself that, hey, maybe if I list 60 listings, I'll sell 10 items on eBay. And then it goes from there, builds up. You got 600 listings. You'll probably be making, as long as you do it properly, you'll probably be making a full-time income with 600 listings, like a full-time income, not like a McDonald's full-time income, like a real full-time income. And that's just the point that I try to get across in the last 4 or 5 months. I mean, I hope you agree with that too, Brian, right?
Yeah. Yes, I definitely do.
It's like, oh, it's a lot. So I did do that. All right, let's get up to the last questions here. Jesus says, have live for your students only. So you skip the repetitive beginner questions. Yeah, that's a possibility. It also does take a lot of work to put together eventually. Do you delete a flagged account after you make a new store? So you can't delete accounts until after there's been no activity on the account for 30 days, which usually ends up being very hard because first off, you have 30 days from your last sale, there's probably going to be a return. There's probably going to be some sort of other case that opens up. There's another 30 days. Eventually, yes, I have closed some of the accounts, but there keeps being sometimes if there's a return, eBay then owes you money because they're giving you your fees back, but you canceled your store subscription. You have to ask that money back. Then you can't cancel for another 30 days. It ends up being close to like 90 days, but you can do it. So you're creating a new account, even though, all right, Ty is lost here. LMAO, everybody and their mother is selling Amazon gift cards, 30% off. Yeah, it's crazy. Tom, what's the recommended quantity you generally go with on these suppliers since their quantities could be rapidly changing? No, none of the suppliers that I teach inside of the course and the 10 vetted suppliers list, quantity is rapidly changing. The only thing that is hard with a manual eBay dropshipping store is if you want to be stuck in your ways and you want to only list Amazon onto eBay or Walmart onto eBay, you are going to get burned because the repricing time isn't as fast as it could be. It could be if you want to leave your computer on all night and or stay up all night and be nocturnal or something. But it's not going to be as fast as it could be. But the suppliers that I teach inside of the course, which is in the description, literally you don't have to worry about the price changing. These suppliers aren't high traffic suppliers and they're not marketplaces. So there's not more than one person selling this item. Tom, can you do a video on how to play with eBay rules, play by the rules? I'm guessing you meant. I can definitely do that. I was going to do, do you think this is a good idea, Brian? I was going to do a video on basically going over the metrics, like the seller metrics and like explaining each one in depth. I believe, I think that's something out there needs to.
I think people in the future, they're going to become a bigger deal than they are now. I think eBay is still testing it. And I think that they're going to become a huge moneymaker for eBay. So I know that the returns is going to be a huge, factor for that. And like the more returns they get, and that's just how they're going to roll it out. So like they're going to increase profits and using their metrics because they got to, right now, eBay is not turning enough profit when they are for their company to continue growing. And like a lot of their, stockholders are complaining about that. So they got to look for areas to generate more profit. That's going to be one of them. So yeah.
And another topic to build off of that is if eBay doesn't care about Amazon onto eBay dropshipping or automated dropshipping, you would think, and that, they're having problems with their profit right now or getting a lot of money. If you are selling with promoted listings, which you are inherently promising eBay that you're going to give them 1%, 2%, 3% extra profit, extra dollars from your sale, give them that free money for them as long as they push your item. You would think that if they didn't care about Amazon to eBay dropshipping or automated dropshipping or what we were doing back in the day, then they wouldn't completely dock everybody's literal promoted listings and make them make no money. Because in return, eBay is making less money because of that. I was giving eBay close to $1,000 a month in promoted listing dollars when I was running at 1% and doing huge profits or huge months at 100,000, 200,000 in sales. If you're giving them free $1,000, other people are giving them free $1,000 every month. Those add up. If they're going to dock everybody, there's clearly an issue that they have with that.
I'm going to drop business 101 on you right now from fucking Rockefeller himself. Okay. So like when it comes to how gas was done back in the day, and I believe this was Rockefeller who had initiated this. There was other small gas stations who were his competition. So what he did was he diminished his price for each gas company. So like the gas companies that were competing against him couldn't compete, even though he was taking a lesser profit. Okay. So what I'm saying right now is if you think about it in terms of Amazon versus eBay, Amazon knows that eBay is a giant competition. So in order for eBay to compete against Amazon, it has to take that small hit. And like, yes, it's going to reduce the amount of money that's going to come in on the front end from those promoted listings, but in alternative, it's not helping Amazon as well. So like that's what it comes down to right now. It's a business tactic. Like this shit is bigger than you and I selling on a small like minuscule marketplace, like, and owning a small spectrum of like the store. This is like a grand scheme, and you gotta be able to play into it. That's what this is all about. Like, you gotta know what you're getting into. So like, that's just my 2 cents on it. Once again, like, Rockefeller did this to gas stations to be able to dominate the rest of the market. eBay is competing with Amazon. Amazon is the giant, like, it's the I don't know what you want to call it, David and Goliath. You got Amazon being Goliath right now. David's trying to hold his slingshot against Goliath, right? So even though he's getting money from the promoted listings, he's stopping those promoted listings, which are actually helping Amazon to actually increase their wealth into smaller other sources and other generating other streams of income from other ways to just make up for that. So they don't want Amazon to get any bigger than they are. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the easiest way to say it. They don't want Amazon any bigger than they are. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, so we're at the 1 hour mark. Let's finish up. We got 63 people watching. If you liked what you saw here, please like this video. Like I said earlier in the video, it would definitely do this video some justice, and it'll show it to more people and get more people out there seeing it, because that is the way the YouTube algorithm works. Also, if you aren't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. But if you do subscribe, also make sure to hit the little bell button, the little notification button, because I found out recently that YouTube doesn't even push the videos to you unless you have clicked that little bell button. That's the way to ensure it. If not, then there's a good chance you won't see it. You'll probably see some video of some cat or something out there, or like some street fight, or just something stupid out there, whatever. Like, you know, I get pushed chiropractor videos all the time. I don't understand it, but they are kind of cool to watch. So Jameson says building websites is pretty easy. You're probably the only one that's ever said that. Gail says, Tom, you are right. I lost so much money on Shopify because I did not have the traffic. eBay is the way to go. Shopify is literally just being sold as a dream nowadays. It doesn't make any sense to the regular person that doesn't have a lot of computer or technical skills right off the bat to get into. If you want to eventually get into it later, then yes, that makes sense, because you've learned the business model. You've kind of learned the ins and outs of it, but you don't have to do all the hard parts, which is the marketing, the website design. Like, I've watched Jason recreate his website 4 times, literally 4 times. And I would say only the last 2 iterations would be considered something like rather professional. And he's been at this for 3 years after we graduated, you know, like engineering college. It's not like it's a lot of work to do this. And it really is.
I just want to explain this. I don't think you guys realize how hard marketing is. Like, it is literally one of the hardest areas ever. Like, it takes so much time, so much effort, and so much, like, it's ridiculous. Like, I've always had a problem with it. Most people have a problem with it. That's why eBay is the easiest market, because they market for you. Because without it, like, I've tried to start a Shopify store as well. Paul J. Lipsky can attest to it too. He tried a Shopify store. It failed. Marketing is so ridiculously difficult. Just because you think you know what a customer wants does not mean that's actually what they want. That's why we use Zik Analytics to understand, like, how to figure out what the customer actually wants. I can tell you half the items in my store, sometimes I do not understand why so many people buy it, but they do. And that's what the data says. And data is the way how to get you to the numbers you want. So you have to go by the data. And
you can't go based off your logic. I remember one of the first students I ever coached. One of the first students I ever coached was like, yeah, I wanted to sell this 40-pound bag of kitty litter because, you know, kitty litter is pretty heavy. And if they're at this store and they don't want to have to pick it up and put it in their carriage, then they might as well buy it online. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, sure, maybe that's a thing, but does it have proven sales history on Zik Analytics? Oh no, right. I just found this bag of kitty litter. I just expected that that people would want to buy it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Has it sold yet? No.
Yeah, and like, I understand. Like, I see that this guy wrote, like, building websites is pretty easy. I'm sure it's like super easy. That's not the problem. The problem is like selling on that website. So the next problem is like generating traffic to that website.
I also think James generate multiple websites before.
Yeah, and like, I'm sure he has, but like, you got to generate traffic to that website. Then you have to generate incoming sales, and within those sales, you better be making profit. Otherwise, you're going negative anyways, which doesn't make sense to have a website altogether. So like, that's like that is the issue right there. I'm just going to go. I got some of the questions on here. And somebody's asking about your course.
Yeah, so Sarah and Lake Girl asked if there's any discounts to the course. Message me on Facebook. I put it in the description or on the sidebar right there. Message me on Facebook. We can talk about it. We were planning on running a discount on Monday. So, you know, just we'll early bird special you in if you want. Thanks again for the content. Christian says, Claire has a question for you. You want to answer that one?
Yeah. Do you still believe people are making any money with API software? I know you were swearing by it for a while. Yes, I was, Claire. I know I was. And it's hard. Like, it depends. So I'm gonna throw this one as a curveball. Tom's method is by far the best way to do this. Okay, and I can attest to it right now. My store was brutally destroyed because of my VA who actually decided to like steal from me. It happens. Like these, I just got hit with one of those randoms. You know, like randoms happen, and I just got hit with it. It's how you overcome it. It's not how many times you get knocked down, is how many times you get back up. All right. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, with my flagged account, it depends on what software you're connected to. I was connected with SaleFreaks. I'm going to say you can, but the tactics aren't worth it. So like what I'm saying is like I was going negative on the front end. By going negative, I was making most of my money through cashback and discounted gift cards, which I got for up to 20% sometimes. And like that was
came from.
This is on the very end, and I was pushing it as hard as I could. Like you're seeing me right now doing. I push like you see me like I'm literally on this live right now telling you guys I'm pushing back on eBay after I got that one MC011 restriction. I push. Okay, so like when Tom first told me about going to building a second store after these flagged accounts were becoming more prominent, I was like, nah, let me just see what I can do with this one. I was listening to him. It's not like I wasn't like acknowledging what he said. And I know Tom is fucking crazy smart. I listen to him all the time. So when he was saying this, I had it in the back of my mind, but I was like, well, what can I do with this one store? And I pushed it as hard as I could. And yes, Claire, I tried every ounce that I could to make that thing work. But like, I'm telling you, girl, like it comes down to like, I had to go negative and then I would try and go positive on some stuff. Like max positive, I was 1 to 2% on the front end. Back end, I was making like clearing like 5 to 7. Sometimes discounted gift cards up to like fucking 10%, 20% wasn't around when I was still doing this, but like it was tough. It's tough. Like, and the amount you got to sell is crazy. It got complicated. Like the manual way, I'm going to say it right now, is just probably the more easier, better way. I mean, like everybody else is talking about it. And I tried to push it as much as I could, but do this new manual way. Go with what Tom's telling you. I'm telling you, I'm living proof right now. I'm doing it. Push back. Like, don't be afraid to push back. And like, I'm always acceptable of these questions too. So if you guys got questions like this, sure, hit me up. Yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth. It was too hard to keep going. And eventually it was going to fall on itself anyways. eBay didn't want it to last. And I kept trying and trying and trying. So no, Claire, I would advise against it, to be honest. And I would switch into this new manual way. And what I mean by that is I would follow what Tom's saying. If you have an API store that's connected to API that you can tell is flagged by—
She said she already got rid of it.
Okay.
What she said in her comment.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
No, she just posted a new comment right as you were talking.
Oh,
not to cut you off.
Just start up a second account and just go manual from there. That's just the easiest way.
And the one thing I want to add on top of that is I had a coaching call with another guy in our course as well today. And he's like so emotionally attached to his one automated store. And he's like, it's about to hit 10,000 feedback. It's about to hit 10,000 feedback. Well, I don't know if that's just some sort of like moral thing or some sort of ego thing. But in reality, sure, if that's your main ego booster or something out there that's going to make you feel accomplished that you got 10,000 feedback on an account, you can keep that account open and then just start a new account and go manual on your second one. That's an option. I wouldn't do it because I don't give two shits, for lack of better words, about— I had one account with 10,000, one with 7, and one with 2,000, and I ended them all in one day. I could care less. Honestly, it was a relief, and I'm sure when you finally got over it as well, that it was a huge relief. Was it not?
It was, and like, I think it comes down to separation anxiety, because like what I mean by that is like, it is. And like, I'll give you an example. Like, you work so hard. This shit is your fucking baby. And I get it. Like, my shit was rolling. I had like, I don't know how many fucking feedback I had on it. And I tried. I was like, yo, let's just keep this alive. And like, it comes down because it's an extra income revenue stream. And like, you never think you're going to have to get rid of that. But like, you didn't have it to begin with, but you got accustomed to it. And like, you got to learn to let things go. And I'm able to do this because I've created businesses before, and sometimes they fall apart. And like with this business, the internet moves so fucking fast. It's crazy. So like, you just got to understand, like, things come and go quickly, and you have to be able to make those changes. And it's hard for people because change is like a fucking hard thing to do. So like, the separation anxiety comes into play where you're just like, oh my God, I did this. I worked so hard. This thing is moving. It's doing good. Like, you know, but then it starts to decline. And I get it. Some people are faster with it. Tom is faster with it than I am. And I'll attest to it.
The Band-Aid off type of guy.
Yeah, you're just good, man. You just fucking get it done. Like, some people have a harder time with it, and I was one of them. I just didn't want to let it go, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna try and ride the wave, and I did. But if somebody else is doing something that's working, and you see something that's failing, you gotta be able to fucking make that jump too. Like that, you gotta do it quickly too. You can't just like sit back and be like, oh, I'll wait. Do not wait. The best day to do something is today. Like, it was yesterday, and if not yesterday, it's today. Okay, so like, you're seeing all this stuff happening. I'm giving you all the information right now. Like, that's how you got to go about and do it. Tom's saying manual drop shipping. I'm going with manual drop shipping. Fucking everybody's saying manual drop shipping. Like, if you're going against the tide, like, you're sinking your own ship, to be honest. Like, I guarantee some people are still making money that way. That's fine, but I would say manual drop shipping. Just go the route.
One thing I would say is, a lot of people think they're making money and they don't realize that they're not. And secondly, a lot of people are going to try to fight it for as long as possible. And if you take the leap of faith and you jump and you do it now, then you're going to be light years ahead of people when everybody decides to finally make the jump. Whether eBay makes one big ultimatum change or anything out there that could possibly push the rest of the naysayers over. If you already started, first off, not only do your items already have all this social proof on them, but more importantly, you have the ability in your brain. You've learned how to do it fast before everybody else did. So you're going to already be there steps ahead of people to the point where you're making money while other people aren't. And that's what the number one thing I've been trying to get across for a while. And before we wrap this up, I mean, first off, Bleak YouTube was one of the last people that asked, what's the actual cost of the course? So at the moment, it's $497, but we are doing a deal on it. And that's going to be on Monday. But if you message me on Facebook right now, I'll give you the deal beforehand. So don't you worry about that. And Christian says you should get a Hydro Flask free H2O. I'm too cheap for that, dude. I'm going to drink out of my Labatt Blue glass that I got from a yard sale. And we're going to call it a day there. And so the questions are going to keep coming in. This is the longest live I've ever done so far. Tom, seems like effort you put into that is true, Claire. She says that it seems like the effort that you put into the API account could pay 10 times over if you do put the same effort into the manual store nowadays. That's so true. It's literally, if you put the amount of effort into saving your API connected account, whether whatever went wrong, the auto ordering disconnected or, something disconnected, something didn't work, which usually always happened. Your Amazon account got banned, your buying account got banned. You have to go create another one or make a new one or remake that one, or you get tax exempt. If you put in that much effort into the manual store, you will definitely be reaping a lot of benefits here. But yeah, so Jesus says, I believe my separation anxiety in my first ever store and not being able to ditch it and go all the way. And with Tom's course is caused by my downfall now dealing with MC011. See, not everybody's perfect, but I believe that you will be able to get back from it. I want to do both while my manual store picked up. That is true. And obviously a lot of people are in different financial situations. If your automated store is making you some money and you are relying upon it, I do understand that as, a possible case where, I just cut ties cold turkey and lived with the manual store, not making as much money right off the bat, but eventually picked up. And luxury card sources, eBay and Amazon listings are like fresh vegetable. They're only good for a while. When they go bad, they start to smell. You toss them and get new ones. It's kind of true. That I like that analogy. It's a little out there, but I like it. Bleak says, thank you so much, Tom. I will watch your live stream all the time from now on. It's very interesting. I learned a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Brian, do you have any last words before we log off
Yeah,
here?
guys, I'm in the eBay, in Tom's University Facebook group. Like, if you have any questions, hit me up. Like, I'm always down to talk. Like, sometimes I'm distant, but I am in there. I'm working on my own store as well. Like, if you guys have any questions, once again, like, I did do $125,000, my biggest month ever. So I did $500,000 in sales on eBay dropshipping last year. Like, I am legit. So, like, hit me up. You guys can follow me at Hustle Williams at YouTube too.
I'll throw your link in the description after this. I forgot to. Sorry.
It's all good. And just like hit me up on Instagram, hustle_Williams. I'll like post questions, hit me up, ask me questions. I got you. So just keep grinding, always push. Like, I'm the asshole that just keeps pushing back. So just that's what I do. So.
All right. I appreciate you coming on, Brian, and everything that you've done so far. I appreciate everybody that came live and coming out on a Friday night. I was just telling Brian before this, I'm like, I don't even think if I was, watching my own channel, I would come on at this late on a Friday night. But it shows that the 56 people watching right now are dedicated to actually achieving financial freedom in their life and gaining success with their eBay dropshipping business. So if you do want to look more into the course, the link is in the description. You have to scroll down a little bit. We also did launch a free mini course, which does go over the basics of what we are teaching inside of the manual course. So if you guys want to check that out, you're more than welcome to. It's free. Just sign up on the link and you'll easily get it. If there's an issue with it, there has been some issues with the links recently. Just message me again, and it brings you straight to a Facebook Messenger, and then you get it from there. Message me there if there's a mess up with the links, and I'll send it to you by hand. Don't you worry about that. And also, if you guys did like this content, I would appreciate on the one last time that you like this video, get it out to more people out there, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you guys all for coming out. Thank you very much, Brian. And we will see you next Friday because that seems to be the time that I'm going live nowadays as of the last 4 or 5 lives. So thank you guys very much. And I'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.